Hello, in the video coming up we will look at how you can use your Chromebook safely in 2022 after the AUE date has expired. You may or may not know what the AUE date is for the Chromebook, so I'll quickly go over that, but this video is going to look into all of the different things you can do with your Chromebook once the AUE date has expired. So the video is quite lengthy, but I would suggest to watch it because I'll go through everything you can do and then I'll explain all of the issues for doing either one and some of the benefits of doing either one. So by the end of the video, you will know the best option for you once your Chromebook has reached its AUE date. The first option, of course, but I don't think you're watching this video for that, is that the best option is just to buy a new Chromebook. However, if that isn't something you're willing to do, which is absolutely fine, I completely understand that. If your Chromebook's still working fine, the idea of going to buy a new laptop, I can totally understand why you wouldn't want to do that. What is the point if your Chromebook is still in perfect condition? So if that isn't what you want to do, then what are your other options? So before we look at the options, first of all, I'll just quickly explain what the AUE date is for anyone who doesn't know. Essentially, all Chromebooks come with an AUE date, and that's an auto update expiry date. And what that means is if you buy a Chromebook in say 2022 and it's a brand new Chromebook, you're most likely going to get updates until around 2029. So it's quite a few years. Most Chromebooks or most laptops in general, usually most people get about 5 years of use out of a standard laptop. The thing is with Chromebooks, because they are so sturdy and the Chrome OS is so lightweight, they can actually last a lot longer. And that's why some people find the AUE date quite frustrating. The reason why the AUE date exists is because Google needs to be able to continually improve Chrome OS. So if you can imagine, if Chrome OS had improvements that they could do, but they had to consider Chromebooks that had come out in 2011, you can understand how that would stop Chrome OS continuing to improve. Therefore, although I completely understand the reason why people get frustrated with the AUE date, I'm completely for it as well. It's got to be there. If it wasn't there, that would stop Chrome OS improving, and nobody wants that. If you want your operating system to improve, it can't be held back by old devices. So to stop that happening, what Google did was to introduce the AUE date, and what that means is once your Chromebook gets to the AUE date, it will no longer receive any more Chrome OS updates. Now that's pretty vital because Chrome OS updates used to be every 6 weeks, but now they're every 4 weeks in line with the Chrome browser as well. So your Chromebook should get an update every 4 weeks. Now and again it may get an update in between that as well if it's an urgent security patch, and that again is something that's really important. So once your Chromebook no longer gets updates, people are concerned whether your Chromebook is secure. And it's true to some extent that your Chromebook may not be as secure as it was when it was receiving Chrome OS updates. Something we need to always bear in mind, the Chromebook is very, very secure compared to any other computer that is available. However, we need to also understand that vulnerabilities are always found, and then vulnerabilities will be patched with Chrome OS updates. If you're not getting Chrome OS updates, that causes the risk, and that's what people are concerned about. So that's what the AUE date is. So now we'll look at the options you have once your Chromebook has passed the AUE expiry date. The first thing you could do is just to continue using your Chromebook as it is. It will work. There's absolutely nothing that will stop it from working. When you get to the AUE date, your Chromebook will continue to work as normal. But as I said, what will not happen is you'll no longer get Chrome OS updates. So what does that mean for you? Well, essentially, do not think the day your Chromebook gets to its AUE date, it's no longer safe. You know, that's not simply the case. Except bearing in mind that Chrome OS updates happen every month, you're definitely going to still be secure for a month. And even after that period, I wouldn't suggest that you're going to be automatically in danger of any undesirable activity when going online. However, that being said, there are some risks, and the longer you use a Chromebook after updates have stopped, the bigger that risk can be. The issue you have is, like I've said, is about the vulnerabilities. Now, it's still the case that your Chromebook will be write protected. It's physically write protected. Therefore, nothing can be installed on the actual operating system that will be then harmful to you, because there's a secure write protect, and it's very unlikely that any vulnerability will be able to get past that. It simply won't be able to get past that. However, the issues are more to do with when you're browsing online. And we are now at a stage where Chromebooks, at present, Chromebooks that have gone past the AUE date previously didn't have Android apps and they didn't have Linux apps because that wasn't supported back then. But we are now getting to the stage where we are getting Chromebooks that do have Android apps are coming to the end of their AUE date. Now, that means that Android apps, you can use Android apps, but if there are any malicious Android apps, or even if the Android app isn't malicious and they've found some sort of vulnerability that causes all apps or maybe just some apps to be an issue, that sort of thing you'll not be protected from. So that's one of the risks that you've got to think about. However, the main risk is browsing online. When you're browsing online, if you're using the Chrome browser, and the Chrome browser is currently built into the Chrome OS operating system, if you're using the Chrome browser, if you visit a website that's undesirable and you don't realize that, and that they've found a way to get around the protection, there's a risk. You could even go to a website which is protected under HTTPS, but there's still ways of doing man-in-the-middle attacks if the website's not a genuine website. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure you only visit genuine websites, which is just, it's easy for some people might not be able to do that. It all depends. However, would I want to log into my online banking using a Chromebook that was where the AUE date expired 4 months ago? No, I don't think I would. And that's because you simply don't know. Is it worth the risk? Also, you've got your extensions, your Chrome browser extensions. Although they add a lot of functionality, you've got to be really careful with them. If I was using a Chromebook and the AUE date had expired, I would be not using many Android apps, and I would not be using hardly any Chrome extensions. That's the first thing I would be dealing with. But essentially, I would still advise not to use your Chromebook too long after the AUE date has expired. So yes, you could continue to use your Chromebook as normal, but I wouldn't advise to do that for a long period of time. So the next one we come on to, and you see this everywhere, I read comments on different blogs and I like to see what people are saying, and on Facebook as well. And when it comes to someone asking the question, what can I do now my Chromebook AUE date is expired? There's so many people who say install a new operating system. Now, I have installed a new operating system on my old Toshiba Chromebook where the AUE date has expired. However, I think you need to understand that it isn't as easy as people are saying it is. It's not the case of simply installing a new operating system. All Chromebooks come with a physical write protect. Therefore, what that means is you have to actually get a screwdriver, open up your Chromebook and open it up, look for the write protect, deal with that, put it all back together. To do that, you'd have to go onto YouTube and find a video for your specific Chromebook to do that. Now, I don't know about you, I did it because I wanted to see how it works. I don't like messing about with mechanical stuff. I don't feel comfortable with dealing, certainly if it's something that's expensive, I'm like, ooh, I just don't like dealing with it. I'm more software. So that's the first thing you've got to think about. Is that something you're prepared to do? I'd say the majority of people, it isn't something you're prepared to do. And so that's the one thing you've got to consider when people say install a new operating system. It actually does mean opening up your Chromebook and taking away the write protect. And also, when you take away that write protect, you've got to bear in mind that you've got rid of that physical write protect. That physical write protect was there to put an extra layer of security onto your Chromebook to stop viruses being able to be installed on your Chromebook. So that write protect is really important. So by all means, you can use another operating system and they work. I've used Cloud Ready. I had a few issues with drivers. I didn't get any sound, so I had to end up using Bluetooth speakers or Bluetooth headphones. And you most likely find that you may have that problem as well. You do, of course, have other operating systems. Chrome OS Flex. Chrome OS Flex is better than Cloud Ready, but it's still not in the channel where it's stable. For example, I think it's currently in beta. However, Chrome OS Flex is essentially what Cloud Ready will be. So all Cloud Ready devices will be updated to Chrome OS Flex once it comes out as standard. So that's the same thing. So you could go down that route, but as I says, it's about opening up your Chromebook to do that. You could install another operating system entirely, a Linux operating system. Yeah, absolutely. Now, another option you would have, you'd only have this option if you had Linux on your Chromebook. So at the moment, any Chromebooks where the AUE date is now here, you wouldn't have the option because I don't believe Linux was available for any Chromebook where the AUE date is expiring now. So this would only be an option in a couple of years from now. And that option is to install a different browser. So at least you're safe browsing online. So you could install Mozilla browser, you could install the Edge browser, or you could, I'm sure there's other browsers you could install as well. You'd obviously have to make sure they were updated and you'd have to install them via Linux. You'd have to install Linux onto your Chromebook and you could do it that way. The good news, there is a much better option, and that is to install LaCroix on your Chromebook. Now, LaCroix stands for Linux and Chrome OS. At the moment, it's not available as standard, but the good news is you can use it in your stable channel. You do not have to leave the stable channel. All you have to do is install a few flags. Once you've installed them flags, you will then have a separate browser. So you can still have it to be that you have your Chrome browser and you have the Chrome Linux browser. So essentially what it does is it installs the Chrome browser, but the Linux version on your Chromebook. It doesn't need Linux. So although it's not a container, as in the sense of, that's why I said you don't need to have Linux to use it. So you can use it on your Chromebook because a Chromebook is essentially deep down Linux anyway. Now at the moment, like I says, you have to use flags and it works perfectly fine. I've used it, and one thing we need to remember is this is a massive task for Google because at the moment Chrome OS and the browser is so integrated with each other. To pull them two apart and to make everything work perfectly is going to take a long time, but it's actually getting there. If you install LaCroix on your Chromebook, you'll be quite surprised with how good it is. And the benefits to installing LaCroix on your Chromebook is if you've still got Android apps, if you've got Android apps, you can still use them, and you just need to be sensible about the Android apps you use once your AUE date has expired. In relation to your extensions, Chrome extensions, I'd still be sensible about them as well. Do your homework, make sure they're fine. But the good news is because you're using a separate browser, so you're using the Chrome browser for Linux rather than the built-in Chrome OS browser, because of that, the browser will get updates. And what that means is if any vulnerabilities are found, then that will be dealt with the browser update. So it makes it much more secure. I would definitely suggest at the moment, if your Chromebook AUE date has come to the end, then install the flags for LaCroix. And if you do that, you'll have that separate browser which will continue to get updates. And that's the main thing people are concerned about, being able to go online and still be safe and secure. Because essentially what you're doing by installing LaCroix is if you was using a Microsoft Windows computer, for example, the Microsoft Windows operating system doesn't directly integrate with the Chrome browser. If you was using the Chrome browser, which most people do, it's not directly integrated with the Mozilla Firefox browser or the Edge browser. So essentially, by using the LaCroix browser, you're putting yourself in the same place where you would be if you was using a Microsoft computer, for example. If you're using a Microsoft computer with Microsoft Windows, the Chrome browser isn't integrated with Microsoft Windows. Mozilla Firefox isn't integrated, so that's the situation. So the Chrome, the operating system deals with its own security, and then the browser also deals with its own security. At the moment, when you're just using your Chromebook as normal, Chrome OS deals with the security for the operating system and the browser because they're integrated. They are together. So when your AUE date expires, you can still use that. But the problem is you will not get updates, and that's a risk. But if you use LaCroix, sorry, I do struggle with pronouncing that. If you install that, then you've got Chrome OS no longer getting updates after your AUE date, which isn't great, but what do you expect? You've got a Chromebook that is 8-9 years old, so you can't expect to still get updates, just like an Android phone. However, you'll have a separate browser which does get security updates, so it does mean you are more secure. So that's definitely something I would do. Now, how long you want to do that for is entirely up to you. You just need to keep on top of making sure your new Chrome browser is getting regular updates, and then you'll be safe to browse online. As I says, all you need to do is definitely be wary about what sort of Android apps you use and any extensions you use. And the only reason I say that is because any vulnerabilities about that area may not be able to be dealt with the browser, or it could be something that's a vulnerability without going online with the browser. I doubt it very much, if I'm being completely honest with you, but you know, you've got to be safe. But yes, the best option is definitely to enable LaCroix. Now, I don't think it would be fair to go through all that and then not show you how to enable LaCroix. So I will show you that now in a video on my Chromebook, so I'll get that all set up. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we are. This is on Chrome OS 100 stable channel. I'll just quickly show you that. Settings, about Chrome OS, we're on 100 and we are on the stable channel. Just to show you that you can do all this from the stable channel. You don't need to leave the stable channel to enable LaCroix anymore, which is great. So just open up your Chrome browser and just type in Chrome : // then flags, then hit return. Okay, and from here, what you would need to do is just type in LaCroix. Now, the thing is with LaCroix, because I said earlier that this is a mammoth task for Google to separate the browser, it's still something ongoing, and it may take a long time before this is a standard without flags being needed to be used, and before we get a separate browser to Chrome OS. So there is a lot of options here, but the one you do definitely need is LaCroix support. That's the one that will turn it on. But bear in mind here, obviously what you need to do is got default there, you just do enable, and then you'd want to enable some other flags as well, so you don't have to hit the restart straight away, you can wait. But do bear in mind, if we have a look here, okay, it's got LaCroix support, which is the one you need, support for the experimental LaCroix Chrome browser. Please note that the first restart can take some time to set up LaCroix Chrome. Please do not attempt to turn off the device during the restart. Now, usually when you see things like that, what it essentially means is if you turn off your device could be broke. And then you might have software issues, you have to do recovery. So what I would suggest is to make sure you put your power socket in, just to make sure your Chromebook's got enough power so it doesn't close down halfway through, because I don't know how long it takes. So that's the first thing you would need to enable. And then this one here, enable LaCroix in the web PWA kiosk, I would enable that as well. These are all up to you what you do, but this first one is the one you'd have to enable. This one, from what I can understand, would be if it's a PWA. So I would suggest the reason this is here is that when you're using a PWA, even though you've got LaCroix enabled, when it's using a PWA, it would swap back to the Chrome browser, the normal Chrome browser, where you may not have protection. And if you're using your Chromebook 8 after the AUE date, maybe a year down the line, that could be a risk. So, but also bear in mind these flags may change as well. But there's I would essentially suggest to read through these flags and decide which ones you want to use. You've got one here, LaCroix is the only browser. So this one is use LaCroix Chrome as the only web browser on Chrome OS. This flag is ignored if LaCroix support or primary is disabled. So I would definitely do that one as well. So you want LaCroix support there. This one here, stability, LaCroix update channel, you could do that one, but the one I would definitely do is LaCroix support, you need to do to use it. And then I would also do, where has it gone? The one we was just referring to, LaCroix is the only Chrome browser, and also LaCroix as the primary browser. So use LaCroix Chrome as a primary browser on Chrome OS. So I would install that one, LaCroix as the primary browser, LaCroix is the only browser, and also LaCroix support. And as I said, when you change this to enabled, it will show a restart. You don't need to restart. Go down and enable the other two that you want as well. And if you want to enable more, obviously you can do, but I've not looked into more to know what they do. But they are the three I would suggest to use. And once you've enabled all three of them, press restart. Like I said, remember, it will take some time, so make sure you've got your power plugged in just in case, because if you use an old Chromebook, I don't know how good your battery life is. Okay, so I hope you liked that video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel for future videos, and thanks for watching.